Hey guys, thank you for watching this video. Today I'm going to be doing my July reading wrap-up and August TBR. This month I read 4 books and 3 novellas. The novellas, I'm just going to say now, were all a bust. But anyways, I'm going to start off with the 4 books that I read. The first one being The Someday Garden by Ashley Poston, and I gave this book 3 stars. This is by our FMC. Her name is Sophie, and she is a gardener at this lovely cliffside estate in, I can't even remember where it was, Maine. And she's a horticulturalist, so she's very knowledgeable about plants. And one day when she's in this garden, she sees a door, and in this door is a secret garden where there's a man trapped inside. She's so confused, but this door randomly keeps popping up in different areas of the garden, so periodically she'll go in and visit this guy. At the same time, there's some weird things happening in the garden, like the plants that she's tending to are dying, and in general it's kind of known that this place is a little bit magical. There's kind of a love triangle in this, but not really at the same time. I will say I don't think this is the most romantic book ever. I think it's only like halfway through that we have Sophie kind of talking to the MMC love interest. The owner of this estate, she's planning to retire, so there's this big party that everyone's getting ready for. So I really liked the whimsical vibes of this book, and just the summary cliffside water estate descriptions and everything were so fun to read about. There's a little bit of time travel, and I feel like at the end the explanation with that didn't really make the most sense to me, so that's kind of why it doesn't have the highest rating for me. But yeah, it's still a good book and I would recommend it for the summertime regardless. After that, I read The Romance Revival by Christina Lauren, and I gave this book 4 stars. I really enjoyed this one. This is about our FMC. Her name is Emery. She's super smart and she works for this company where she's kind of 100% a workaholic, and as a result of that, she really doesn't cultivate her relationship with her husband. Her team at work though, they've created this machine and this compound which allows people to be revived, and at the start of this book it's only been used on animals so far, but something tragic happens to her husband and she uses the compound and machine to save him, which brings up some ethical concerns because thus far there have been no human trials with this compound and machine, but it ends up working. However, when her husband wakes up, he has no memories at all, which allows Emery to kind of have a second chance to fix their relationship, and at the same time they get to know each other again and fall back in love with each other, which even though there were some doubts and questions, I really loved reading about these two. And even though it wasn't quite the summer setting I was anticipating, I still think it was a really good story. So yeah, I would recommend this as well. And after that, I listened to an audiobook, and this was called Every Version of You by Natalie Messier. So this one was about Josephine, aka Joey, and she actually, at the very start of this book, she passes away and is given the opportunity to go back to any time in her life and redo her life, and she chooses to go back to being 18 years old and going to college, which is crazy to me because if I had to go back to school and redo school all again, I would just go ballistic. But anyways, that's what she chooses, and when she does this, she has all the knowledge that she has up until the point where she died. So technically she's 32, but in like an 18-year-old's body, which was kind of weird at some parts, especially when their love interest was involved and whatnot. It was kind of odd reading about that. But she's trying to fix her life, but also fix other people's lives too, because for example, she knows things that happen to her friends and is trying to prevent bad things from happening, but she kind of learns that she can't really control everything. This one was weird though, because there was one rule, and it was basically that she can't talk about how she had the opportunity to redo her life, and I felt like she broke this rule all the time. So I don't know how she was able to say this stuff all the time. Meanwhile, at the start, she was told if she does break this rule, then she will just be like eliminated and she can't redo her life anymore, and that's just the end of her. So it was kind of weird to me that she always talked about it. But there was a lot of emphasis on family conflict in this, and I felt like the romance was okay, but not my favorite. The ending had a very interesting twist though that I did not see coming, so that's why I gave this one 3.5 stars. That ending definitely stood out to me, and I would recommend the audiobook for this. I thought it was good to listen to, and I feel like I really binged it just in a few days. So then after that, I read this book here. It's Never Thought I'd End Up Here. This is about our main character. Her name is Leah, and at the very start she's at her cousin's wedding, and her Mandarin is just not that great. All of her family is Chinese, and when she's at this wedding she means to wish her cousin and her cousin's new husband well, but she accidentally wishes them the opposite, and her mother and father are just mortified. So as a result, she gets sent on a trip to China. It is a group trip, and the goal is for her to learn more about Chinese culture and the language. And it turns out that her arch nemesis, a guy who she had a bad experience with 2 years ago, is also on this trip. So she thinks that this is the perfect time to finally get revenge on him for what he did 2 years ago, which you don't find out exactly what that is until like 2/3 of the way through this. And during this group educational trip, there's a few challenges and activities that were really fun, and I liked seeing the few places that they went to. I think it was only like 3: Beijing, Shanghai, or did they even go to Beijing? I can't remember, but Shanghai, and they went to Guilin and maybe one other place. But I was kind of honestly wishing that they went to a few more places, because I really picked this book up to see if this character has gone to some of the places I've been to in China and how she liked them. But anyways, it's okay. And I thought that the romance in this was super cute. I liked how the characters were able to be vulnerable with each other, and the development of the friendships that she made during this trip were also very fun to read about as well. I just felt like there were some cheesy moments, and I didn't think it was super emotional, which is why it wasn't like rated a little bit higher, but I still thoroughly enjoyed this and would recommend it. Okay, now I'm getting into the novellas that I read. So I started the Summer Lovin' collection, which is on Kindle Unlimited, which KU has come out with other collections in the past for different seasons. But this one really just did not do it for me. I only read 3 of the 6, and I was like, I just can't continue because I feel like I'm going to rate all of these badly. Anyways, the first one, it was called S'more of You. This is by Tessa Bailey. So we had Margot and Dean. They knew each other for 8 years. They went to camp together and have kind of been pranking each other. On Goodreads and Fable, it's actually listed as an enemies to or rivals to lover, I think, which is so funny because I did not get that vibe at all when I read this. But basically these two have been secretly infatuated with one another until one summer, the summer that we're reading about, Margot finally expresses her feelings, and the guy, he doesn't believe her and thinks it's just another prank or whatever. And yeah, I just felt like it was super lusty and I wasn't a fan. I gave it 2 stars, and unfortunately I really have not had luck with Tessa Bailey books. That was a bummer. But the next one, it was maybe even a little bit worse in my opinion, although I still rated it 2 stars. This one's called Save a Horse, Keep the Cowboy by Jessica Peterson. So we have Josie. She is a famous country singer, and the guy she's interested in is a rancher who has stayed in their small town. And then Josie goes to their hometown for a wedding, and they meet back up after like 6 years. I guess they were dating, and then he just like left her for no reason, supposedly no reason. So Josie's not really happy to see this guy. I just felt like this was a bit over dramatic, and I honestly got the ick when the guy started singing at the end. And honestly, it's my own fault because I don't like cowboy romances, so I should have just skipped this one to begin with, but I didn't. So then I tried the third one. It is called One Hot Summer Wedding by Fallon. I said Salon, but I think that's wrong. It is by Fallon Ballard. And this one is about Lucy. She's going to her friend Sarah's wedding, although she hasn't talked to Sarah in a decade. And when she's getting picked up from the airport, it turns out she's carpooling with Sarah's brother, who Lucy has been interested in the past. And she also hasn't seen him in 10 years either. He literally didn't even recognize her at the start, and if I were Lucy, I would be like, okay, screw you, dude, like I don't want to talk to you. But basically the two of them spend this wedding weekend together. It was super cheesy, and turns out her best friend honestly is not a good person. And I just felt like there was this big countdown to the wedding day, and then the wedding happened in like only a few pages, so it was pretty anticlimactic. So again, 2 stars for this one. And now I'm getting into my August TBR. The first book that I want to read in August is Lost and Found by Tara DeWitt. This is about Bea, and her best friend recently passed away and has left this bucket list that she's going to be completing. And it also said that her friend left her eggs, so I don't know if Bea is going to use them or what's going on with that. But then our MMC, his name is Silas. He's a firefighter and one of her longtime friends as well. and he's been going through a tough time. Honestly, the description of this is pretty vague, so I don't really know what to expect. It does say though that they are both sunshines, so that will be an interesting dynamic to read about. But I've heard really good things about Tara DeWitt's novels. I haven't read any of her books yet though, so I'm really excited to try. The next books I want to read are Big Little Lies and Big Little Truths by Leanne Moriarty. And I've watched the Big Little Lies TV show. This was a long time ago now, like 3 or 4 years I think, and it was really fun to watch and it kept me at the edge of my seat. So I really want to read Big Little Lies the book, and then the Big Little Truths is new for August. I don't know exactly the day that it's coming out, but this series is about 3 women whose lives all intersect and their kids' lives intersect. There's drama, there's a dead body that's found, so it was quite a good show, so I have really high hopes for the book too. And then for the sequel, it is set 10 years afterwards. So now all of these women's kids are in high school. So that brings upon a new drama, of course. I guess the principal of the school has been getting some weird mail. And then there's this stranger who's kind of lurking around the school, asking people some things. So it seems very interesting, and I'm hoping to pick those up. And then the next book, this is a romance. It is called In Stormy Weather by Chelsea Curto. And this is about Quincy. She has a PhD in meteorology. I love a smart FMC. And she has a weather show and a very successful Instagram meteorology account that has like 1 million followers. And she has a new job opportunity, but it turns out that the MMC, who's also her best friend's brother, Sebastian, is also interested in this position, and I guess he's a bigwig weather guy in New York City. So we're gonna get close proximity and also a rivals to lovers situation, it seems like, and I feel like this one will be really good. Next on my list I have The Open Era by Edward Schmidt. This is the author's debut book, and it is an MM romance set in the tennis world. So we have our first MMC, his name is Austin, and he is a pretty big deal in the tennis world. He is the first openly gay player actually to be participating in this tournament, which I cannot remember what the name of the tournament is, but of course with that there comes a lot of media commentary and challenges. So then he meets Diego. He is ranked number 2, but they start being friends, and then it turns, I'm assuming, into a lover's situation. So I've heard really good things about this book, and I'm really excited to read it. I think it came out a few months ago, and it's been on my TBR for, not like my actual TBR, but it's been on my want to read, I guess, list for a little bit now. And then the last book that I want to pick up in August is Heartstopper Book 6, which actually came out in July, but I have not had the opportunity to pick it up yet. This is the last Heartstopper book, if I'm remembering correctly. And if you're not familiar with Heartstopper, which I'm sure many of you are, but this series is also an MM romance with Charlie and Nick. It follows them in high school and deals with the challenges of their relationship, friendship, bullies, and it is just one of my favorite series ever, honestly. They are graphic novels, so you can really binge these books in just like an hour-ish, and I just loved the previous books so much. They're so touching. You can really see how much Charlie and Nick care for each other, and they also develop an amazing friend group as well, and that found family aspect, it just cannot be beat. I know I'm going to be really sad to finish up this series, but I'm eager to see how they wrap everything up. And then I also think there's going to be a movie, if I'm not mistaken, kind of wrapping the whole TV series up as well, which I don't know when this Heartstopper movie is coming out, but I'm pretty sure I've seen articles about it. So that's it for this July reading wrap up and August TBR video. I haven't done one of these videos in so long. I don't know why I kind of stopped doing these wrap-up videos. Maybe I thought they were repetitive because sometimes I read the books in the videos that I post during the month, so I don't want to talk too much about them. But I realized that I really like watching these types of videos, so I hope that you guys do as well. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you read any of the books discussed, please let me know your thoughts on them in a comment down below. And please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel for book content and vlogs. I will see you in a new video very soon. Bye!